I'll be honest, man. It is starting to become really, really sad to see what Democrats are willing to put Joe Biden through. I mean, they're elder abusing this guy. I mean, there is no other way to put it. And you know it's true because if you saw what you see happening to Joe Biden happening to anybody else, some guy in the neighborhood, some guy that's literally anywhere, right? You would find a way to help him. But when it comes to leading the free world, we have to just stand by and watch these vultures try to abuse the guy. I mean, it is really, really sad to watch. No matter what side you're on, it's sad. But the flip side of that, it is really pretty awesome to watch all these Democrats and just all the soulless shills literally lose their minds.
Do you think there should be another? I mean, there is another debate that they have both agreed to do. Would you want that to take place?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Joe Biden had an off night. It was a poor performance. There's no question about it. And no one is saying anything different. But let's have another debate. Let's see what happens on a different night. Let's see whether Donald Trump continues to lie over and over, to deny his role in January 6th, to proudly say that he increased the deficit more than any other president by reducing taxes on the super wealthy. He is blatantly mischaracterizing the disaster that was his presidency, and that got a lot of attention and didn't get a lot of pushback. But let's have another debate where actually the moderators will push back on Donald Trump's lies. He intimidated your network, unfortunately, and there was no pushback. He was given free reign to just lie as much as he wants. And that's not helpful to the American public either.
Yeah, I don't know about the intimidation part, but I wasn't part of the discussions on any of this. But obviously, in a debate, it is the primary job of the opponent to, have a direct counter and rebuttal to what somebody else is saying. And clearly, the president was not able to do that. We will see, obviously, in another debate if that would change. Congressman Goldman, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Connecticut Congressman Dan Goldman. Guy's a long time. He's a real piece of work, man. Long time Biden protector on basically all things Ukraine and all things criminal. And now he's turning his skills to elder abusing the guy as well. I mean, every single one of these people, they all say the same thing. All Donald Trump does is lie, but they never actually cite an actual example of a lie. And then this is how stupid these people really think you are. In Dan Goldman's proclamation that Trump lied, you'd expect nothing less, but he lies. He says that deficits grew because of tax cuts. And these guys, they all sound so good, but tax cuts don't grow deficits. Spending does. And if you really want to dig into it, the Trump tax cuts actually caused record revenue for many, many, many years after they happened. So if spending went up, that'd probably have a little something more to do with Dan Goldman and his buddies in Congress. So really, in that scenario, who is lying? And then he talks about, Trump refuses to accept his role in January 6th. What role? And role in what? I mean, did January 6th, was it just like now serving this riot? I mean, what is it, some magic number we arrived at for violent protests in 2020? That was the day that these people just started caring about unrest. I mean, come on. Nobody believes that garbage anymore. These are not serious people. And luckily we get to watch their brains basically overload and reboot in real time. And of course, it's all CNN's fault. Every single one of them. They're blaming CNN. How dare CNN platform a presidential candidate that threatens Democrat power? I mean, that's basically what they're saying. I mean, it's awesome to watch, and it's freaking everywhere, man. But the problem is, for them, there is no level of gaslighting that is going to convince the 50 million people who watched that debate that they did not see what they actually saw.
We begin this morning with reaction to the first presidential debate of 2024. Our polling unit asked voters how they view the candidates now, including their cognitive health. The results are not encouraging for the president. The number of voters who say President Biden has the cognitive ability to serve has dropped from 35% earlier this month to 27% after the debate. That's the lowest number since CBS began asking voters that question last September. Nearly 3/4 of all registered voters now say he shouldn't be running. And nearly half of Democrats say he shouldn't remain the nominee, an extraordinary number for an incumbent who didn't face a competitive primary.
And by the way, while the press, and for some reason they don't, there are healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his connection, his thoughts do not go together. And while he may be saying we're enablers, we see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues, how informed he is. And I debate with him about legislation, and not debate, but discuss it with him. He's right there. So in any case, it was a bad night. Let's not sugarcoat that. It was a bad night.
Yeah, it was just a bad night. Trust me, I see him every day, says Nancy Pelosi. She talks to him every day. One evil, corrupt swamp dinosaur trying to protect the head evil, corrupt swamp dinosaur. I mean, Nancy actually posted this interview to her YouTube, so she thinks she did a good job. I'm going to show you more of the interview because it is an absolute freaking winner. You got to see it. Because as I watch this stuff, I keep asking myself, like, why does anyone take these people seriously anymore? Does anyone? I don't know. It appears that people do. But why would anyone give a shit what Nancy Pelosi has to say about Joe Biden? I mean, she's way past the due date too. I mean, and in this interview, man, she's either completely wasted or we really shouldn't be taking her word on cognitive abilities. But let me know in the comments which you think it is. And guys, if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It really does go a long way to helping us get the message out.
A new CBS YouGov poll out this morning that was taken after the debate finds that 72% of voters now say they do not think President Biden has the mental or cognitive health to serve as president. Here with me now is one of the top officials in the Democratic Party, a close ally of President Biden, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Thank you so much for being here. What is your reaction to that poll? 72% of voters say they don't think that the president is fit mentally or cognitively to be president.
Well, what do they think about the other guy? Do they think that he has the integrity to be president after that performance? Let us not make a judgment about a presidency on one debate.
Honestly, man, these people do not want to make this deal about integrity either. I mean, Joe Biden is a guy that says of black people that if you don't vote for him, then you're not black. He's a guy that constantly allowed and lied about whatever it was his son and brother were doing in Eastern Europe and China and all over the world with his name. On top of that, I mean, the more disgraceful ones, the guy disavowed and ignored a seventh grandchild, an innocent 4-year-old seventh grandchild. And he forgot the 16 troops that he literally allowed to be killed. You know, they can't make this about integrity. And, you know, we're not judging the presidency on one debate. It's not about that at all. It's that this one debate actually confirms everything that we've believed about this presidency for years and everything that these same media types have been hiding. And to her point about the polls, you know, we're not seeing much change in the polls because the polls are already, they're done. They're trashed. You know, the only people who actually want Joe, they're people that will literally vote for anyone with a D before their names. These are people that have become essentially lobotomized by people just like this.
Debate. Let's talk about what it means to people in their lives. And that's why you're not seeing much change in the polls on this. The difference between Joe Biden and the former president is so clear. If you are a woman and you care about your reproductive freedom and your health, and women do, you see a complete difference between enforce a woman's right to choose on the part of Joe Biden and a ban on abortion with the other guy. If you care about job creation in America, 15 million more jobs created by Joe Biden, the worst job performance record since Herbert Hoover for the other guy. If you're concerned about saving the planet, you're a young person, you're caring about the planet and its future, Joe Biden, the first person in the Congress to pass a resolution to study the climate change in the 80s, even before I was in Congress. A guy who goes to the fossil fuel industry and says, give me $1 billion so I can reverse what happened in the IRA to save the planet. The list goes on and on, whether you're talking about guns and the rest. And 16 Nobel laureates said when it comes to inflation, if the other guy gets elected, inflation will soar because of his fiscal policies.
Correct me if I'm wrong, man, but what I hear there is that climate change is actually yet another Biden failure in a long string of Joe Biden failures. She says the guy has been working on the climate scam since the 1980s. Well, here we are in 2024, still having the same tired, unproven, unserious conversation about the whole thing. That's not exactly a positive point. And then she goes on, don't forget the 16 nameless, faceless, random Nobel laureates. These guys say that inflation will only get worse under Trump because, of course, it's Donald Trump. We don't have any numbers. I'm not going to show you any numbers, but it's Donald Trump, so it will get worse. Everything gets worse under Donald Trump, says the Nobel laureates. There's never any mention when they're talking about the Nobel that Trump himself was actually nominated 4 times for the Nobel Peace Prize. A fact that if any liberal that knows that, it must drive them completely nuts.
About performance in terms of a debate. It's about performance in a presidency. And I want you to know that the fact is that the reaction to the lies of Donald Trump is something that maybe TV isn't focusing on, but people are. And to have a debate where you have to spend half your time negating what he said because he has knows nothing about the truth. On one side of the screen, you have integrity. The other side, you have dishonesty.
Yeah, and we have definitely been pointing out the about 30 falsehoods that we heard from former President Trump. But
yet not one of these people called out the lies from the integrity side of the aisle. Honestly, I've covered it before. I've talked about it here. The most disgusting one was Joey's claim that he never lost a service member. Says he was the only guy to ever pull that off. My gut tells me Nancy Pelosi, she doesn't know what integrity actually means.
But what you just did, Madam Speaker, was make the argument for Joe Biden's reelection in a way that he did not on Thursday night. Isn't that a problem?
I don't think it's a problem. It's a bad night. I see everything as an opportunity. Okay, you want to contrast what these people can do in a debate if you're not even telling the truth? Or do you want to talk what it means to you in your life when this person becomes president? This president, look, he lied about January 6th. This was a horrible event in our country's history. He was the president of the United States who instigated an insurrection. He tries to blame it on me. Yeah, I planned my own assassination when he was sitting on his butt in the White House, not sending the National Guard and lying about it on the show. And people are well-meaning. I had one of your reporters say, did he really send the National Guard? No, if they don't even know, then how can we make a judgment about how other people evaluate a presentation?
I think that Nancy's own daughter might have a little something to say about who did or did not involve the National Guard.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they had. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for.
These are Nancy's words. I mean, literally all Donald Trump did was repeat Nancy's own words. He said that she took responsibility for not having the Guard involved. And it's true. That was her duty. She was responsible. The Guard was available to her. She didn't do it. And she absolutely, in the moment, did take responsibility for it. And that's all that Trump said. And here she is calling him a liar for using her own words to show the American people what the truth is.
A presentation. So this is a dangerous person as opposed to a person who, again, saved our country from COVID. The first bill we passed, shots in the arms, money in pocket, people in jobs, children in school. This president, with his denial and delay, caused people to die.
Yeah, and I completely understand what you're doing, and you are making the arguments that you are hoping that Democratic voters listen to about why Donald Trump is bad and shouldn't be put back in the White House. But the reality is there are still a lot of concerns that Joe Biden is the person to get you to that point, to making sure that Donald Trump is not back in there. No. Some prominent columnists, several newspaper editorial boards are just simply calling for Biden to step aside for the good of the country. Tom Friedman, a friend of President Biden's, wrote the following. He wrote, Joe Biden, a good man and a good president, has no business running for re-election. If he insists on running and he loses to Trump, Biden and his family and his staff and party members who enabled him will not be able to show their faces. What do you say to that? Is there any part of you that believes that President Biden should step aside?
I want you to know I came home to California, South and North, and people are for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They have some judgment about a person who stood on that stage and lied. If you're just talking about the debate.
Nancy Pelosi might have just given you the greatest argument in favor of the Electoral College that you will ever hear. Just think about what you just heard. Dana Bash said, look, people say that enabling Joe Biden, or more accurately, elder abusing Joe Biden, is going to cause Donald Trump to be elected president. And then she just asked, should he step down for the good of the country? And her answer was, California's for Joe. You know, I've talked to people in the North and the South, and they all believe in Joe Biden. You know, nothing against Californians, man, but they have kept people like her, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Gavin Newsom, Kamala freaking Harris. They've kept all those people in power. They voted for those people. So, A, I don't think we can exactly trust the actions of the great state of California in the aggregate. And B, there's no freaking way that Nancy Pelosi is out talking to anyone, any normal Californians outside her crazy little bubble. There's zero chance. And nobody believes that.
About the debate. I'm respectful of some of the opinions that people have, but I also am respectful of the grassroots. My people are very much Biden, Kamala Harris, and this is an opportunity for Joe Biden to go out there and show he has the stamina and the rest. And by the way, while the press, and for some reason they don't, there are healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his connection, his thoughts do not go together.
Watch that one more time. You've got to see that again. You got to appreciate the irony, man, and just the complete insanity of it. Please look at Nancy's face as she searches her boozer brain for the word dementia. And she literally begs people, don't believe what you saw and don't believe what you heard yourself. There are more faceless, nameless experts who, by the way, they think that Donald Trump has dementia. His thoughts don't even go together. You got to see that again.
And by the way, while the press, and for some reason they don't, there are healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his connection, his thoughts do not go together. Not only that he just lies, he doesn't even know the truth. So if we're just talking about mental acuity, let's be fair about it. I don't think Tom Friedman thinks that Donald Trump should be president of the United States. And while he may be saying we're enablers, we see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues, how informed he is. And I debate with him about legislation, and not debate, but discuss it with him. He's right there.
Doesn't that sound like something, someone trying to explain something to the cops would say? That, oh, no, that's not a crime. Something they're trying to talk themselves out of trouble. I mean, she says, to those that would call us enablers, you don't see what we see. And here's the thing, Nancy, you're not an enabler. You are an abuser. You are, without a doubt, an abuser. This is what all of you people will be remembered for. And this is going to be the legacy, man. And we don't need to see what she sees. We only need to see and trust what we see.
It was a bad night. Let's not sugarcoat that. It was a bad night. It was a great presidency. And that's what the American people have to choose. A night where somebody's going to just misrepresent the facts completely, and then you're on your guard. The other person has to negate that. Or, again, it was a bad night. Let's move on from that. It's all an opportunity. Our members have been very thoughtful. They're very concerned about a president who would lie the way they do, and then the Republicans just go embrace those misrepresentations.
Let me ask you about those members, because
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely hammered, man. She's or something. She's either hammered or she really does not care anymore. And none of these people, they don't ever give an example of what they're actually talking about. She can't possibly explain what lies Trump told, and they just keep repeating like robots that this isn't about a debate. It's about a great presidency. The only problem is there's nothing great about it. You know, she can't tell you what Trump lied about, and she can't tell you what's been great about Joe Biden. They can't name one thing at all that has been great about this Joe Biden detour, right? They can't. You know, Joe Biden is a man with zero redeeming qualities, and he's led an administration that literally fits him perfectly. That is the only way to see it. And these people, they all know, every single one of them know that it's true. They all know that that is true. And that's why they come out to attack Trump, to attack voters, attack CNN, attack any Democrat that is saying or thinking anything reasonable. I mean, it's freaking wild, man. It's almost beyond belief. And I'm not sure why Joe Biden, of all people, has lived a life of such special treatment. I mean, they have protected this guy at every single level and every step of the way. I mean, they've covered up every bad thing that he's ever done. And now they're covering up the fact that he can't even remember all the bad things that he's ever done. I mean, it's freaking amazing stuff. And they talk about him stepping down. I hope it continues, man, because there is absolutely no way that people vote for 4 more years of this. I mean, there's just absolutely no way. But that's just my take, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.